Here is Jake going freestyle. As we see off the start, gets pretty good, strong push, but what we need to make sure is that we are getting that good, tight streamline. As we kind of put you in slow motion here and wind you up backwards, we can see that there's a good amount of gap between your elbows as you look at the streamline right here. Okay, what we want to make sure we're doing is tightening up those hands, getting those to line up right on top of one another. That way that'll tighten up that gap right there. As we talked many times at camp, what we can see as we go a little bit into slow-mo is that Jake likes to pull real early with that lead hand out there in front. We want to make sure that you're being a little bit more patient with that stroke and that you're waiting to keep that hand extended out in front until that hand touches right about there. As we look at that recovering arm right here, it actually looks like we can enter a tad bit sooner into the water. But we do want to make sure that that arm that's underneath there should be extending forward in that direction. As we move towards the turn, we're I guess still going in slow-mo here, which will actually work pretty well. He's getting in really pretty good, and then he kind of ends up slowing down. We can actually definitely work on getting off that wall a little bit quicker. As we're coming through here, you have a tendency to kind of wait for your feet to hit the wall. Right about here, we're noticing you're real close to that wall, so we got to turn a little bit sooner. Once your feet are into about this position right here, boom, you should be actually hitting that wall and kicking out of that turn. Streamline was still kind of the same thing what we're looking at. I like the aggressiveness and the power behind that stroke, but again, we got to make sure we're really trying to lengthen that stroke up. If we can lengthen that stroke up, then what you're going to see is a lot of those shoulder problems that you've talked about are going to be eliminated. You're pulling real early, and so then you're having to kind of crank back on that elbow with that recovering arm. So make sure you're working on being nice and long, kind of as if you're looking at doing a almost catch-up drill. Well, here we go for a finish. Make sure you get on that side for a good strong finish, and then you'll end up dropping those times down tremendously as you go through the next school year. Nice job, Jake.
Jake's underwater camera angle on his freestyle. It's going to be hard to see a little bit as we go through this just because of the pool water and everything, but the one nice thing we're going to be able to see is how much air Jake is pulling with underneath the water, as well as how his kick is. See him coming in, using a real strong kick as we're going through. The one thing, as we slow things up a little bit here, the big thing that I've kind of been talking with Jake the entire time is really keeping that arm out in front. As we get into that stroke, as we're here, what he should be doing is waiting for this arm that's just finishing right back there to actually enter the water right in front of his head before he starts to pull with that lead hand. So he needs to be a little bit more patient, feel like he's doing a little bit almost catch-up drill. It's going to allow him to utilize his natural strength a little bit more. But the one thing we want to see as Jake's coming off of these walls is that he's actually utilizing that dolphin kick a little bit more. I think he can actually have a pretty solid dolphin kick as he comes in and out of those turns. As we come through here, we see him start to come off the wall. Again, not really utilizing that dolphin kick. He is breaking out incredibly early. He's got a ton of water right up on top of his body. Needs to be a little more patient. That's where that dolphin kick's going to be able to come in handy. The one thing that I figure is he might be actually pushing off with his feet a little bit high on the wall. It's definitely hard to see from this angle, but that's what I would figure why he's as deep as he is. We'll get him moving forward here in slow motion again. Definitely a very strong pull. As we see that hand moving underneath the water, we've got a ton of air right there on that hand. You want to make sure that you're entering the water up here, and as soon as that hand enters, you're getting a little bit more extension out in front. Once you get fully extended, pop that elbow, get that high elbow catch, and then push the water straight back behind you. Keep things moving forward, got that slow motion action going. As we take a peek right there, where are your eyes looking? Your eyes are looking kind of in front. We want to see those eyes down a little bit more, not quite down that angle. We want to see them going a bit more here. That way your spine's going to be in a nice straight line. As we see you right now, your spine is kind of going along, and then all of a sudden right at the end it kind of creeps up like that. When your head is up, that drops those hips, so make sure keep that head down to keep those hips right there at the surface. Get you moving a little bit more. Kick's kind of a little sporadic. Make sure you really think about keeping those legs going the entire time you're swimming. Just keep those motors going. That way that sprint freestyle will be even stronger. As we look into that finish, kind of keeping things going and slowing that kick down. We want to make sure that you're kicking as hard as you can all the way into that wall for that finish. Very nice job, Jake.